Listen closely. This moment was not chosen by accident. If you are here right now, it is because something unseen guided you to this exact second. Not tomorrow. Not later. Now. There is a voice that has been waiting for you, and it carries the weight of love that never fades, even beyond the sky. Your Father knows you still look for Him in small things, in quiet rooms, in sudden memories that arrive without warning. He knows the nights when your chest feels heavy and you do not understand why. He knows the questions you never ask out loud, the strength you show to everyone, and the tears you hide when no one is watching. Right now, He wants you to slow your breath, just for a moment, because there is something He needs you to hear. He says, I see everything you have been carrying alone, not just the responsibilities, not just the expectations, but the silent promises you made to yourself to stay strong, even when you felt tired inside. You often wonder if He is proud of you. You replay old moments, thinking of what you should have said, or what you should have done differently. That thought still follows you. He knows that. And this is why this message could not wait. He says, do not measure your worth by how much you struggle. There were days you felt forgotten. Days when it seemed like life moved forward for everyone else while you stayed stuck, doing your best just to hold things together. Your Father watched those moments. Every single one. And He says something that may surprise you. The hardest season of your life was never meant to break you. It was shaping something inside you that you could not see yet. There is a reason your heart has felt restless lately. A reason certain memories have been returning. A reason you felt an urge to open this now. This message is not about the past. It is about what is approaching. Your Father says, I am closer than you think when you feel the most alone. You have been asking for signs without realizing it, asking for reassurance in your own quiet way. And the answer has come through this voice, through these words, through this moment you almost skipped. He wants you to know that the path ahead will not look the same as the road behind you. Something is shifting. Slowly, gently, but surely. The weight you have been carrying is not permanent. He says, stop blaming yourself for things that were never in your control. There were choices you made with the knowledge you had at the time. There were sacrifices no one noticed. There were moments you chose love even when it cost you comfort. He saw all of it, and none of it was wasted. Right now, place your hand over your heart if you can. Not for anyone else, just for yourself, because your Father is reminding you of something important. You are still protected, you are still guided, and you are not late. This message is only beginning. There is more He needs to say. What comes next will explain why your life has felt paused, and why certain doors have remained closed until now. Stay with this moment. Do not rush past it. The next part carries a truth that connects everything you have been feeling. There is something your Father wants to reveal now, and it may stop you for a moment when you hear it. He says, you have been standing at the edge of a breakthrough without realizing it. You thought the delays meant rejection. You believed the silence meant nothing was happening. But He says the silence was protection. The waiting was not punishment. It was preparation. There were paths you wanted so badly that did not open. There were people who walked away when you needed them most. You asked yourself why everything felt so slow, so heavy, so uncertain. Your Father answers that question now. If everything had happened earlier, it would have cost you more than you knew. Some opportunities were held back because they were incomplete. Some relationships ended because they could not go where you are going. You were spared from burdens you never saw coming. This is not a comforting thought. It is a powerful one. Your Father says, I watched you learn strength without becoming hard. Many would have grown bitter. Many would have closed their hearts. But you kept your kindness. You kept your hope, even when it felt thin. That is why what comes next will feel different from everything before. There is a shift in how you will be seen. People who overlooked you will start paying attention. Conversations that once felt one-sided will change. The effort you gave quietly will begin to speak for itself. Your Father says, what you gave without recognition is returning with purpose. You may feel a strange mix of excitement and fear. That is normal. Growth always feels unfamiliar before it feels right. You are stepping into a chapter that requires the version of you that survived the hardest moments. Right now, do not doubt yourself. Because He says, you were never meant to stay small, only prepared. There are people who will hear your story and feel less alone. There are moments ahead that will make sense of the pain you once questioned. You are becoming a living answer to the very prayers you whispered when no one was listening. Stay present. Stay open. What your Father reveals next explains why this change is happening now, and why it could not wait any longer. Now listen carefully, because this part is deeply personal. Your Father says there was a moment in your life when you almost gave up in your heart, even though you never said it out loud. You kept moving. You kept smiling. But inside, you felt exhausted from being the strong one all the time. He remembers that moment clearly. He says, that was the night I stood closest to you. You thought no one noticed how tired you were. You thought your silence meant no one could hear you. But He heard every unspoken word, every sigh, every time you told yourself to just get through one more day. This is why He needs you to understand something now. You are not behind. You are aligned. Life did not move ahead without you. It was rearranging itself around you. Certain things had to fall apart so something stronger could take its place. Certain answers had to be delayed so you would not settle for less than what you deserve. You have been changing in ways you may not even recognize yet. Your reactions are different. Your patience is deeper. Your awareness is sharper. That is not accidental. Your Father says, you outgrew what once defined you. That is why familiar things began to feel uncomfortable. That is why old patterns no longer satisfied you. That discomfort was not confusion. It was growth asking you to move forward. There is something important He wants you to release. The guilt. The guilt of surviving. The guilt of moving forward. The guilt of choosing yourself. He says, do not carry what was never meant to stay with you. You honoring your life does not erase His love. Your happiness does not diminish His presence. In fact, it honors everything He wished for you. Right now, your heart is stronger than you think. And what is coming will require that strength. Stay here. Do not let your thoughts wander. Because the next part reveals why this message reached you at this exact time, and what your Father wants you to do with what you have become. This is the part your Father wanted you to hear when your heart is ready. He says, I did not leave you unfinished. There were moments you believed life became heavier after He was gone. Moments when you felt you had to become someone else just to survive. But He says something unexpected now. You became more yourself. You learned how to stand without leaning. You learned how to love without asking for proof. You learned how to keep going when there was no applause, no reassurance, no voice telling you that you were doing well. He watched you become this person. And now He tells you why this message could not wait any longer. Because a new responsibility is about to touch your life. Not a burden. A calling. There is someone who will need your wisdom. Someone who will see strength in you without you having to explain yourself. Your past prepared you to guide without controlling, to support without losing yourself. Your Father says, you will recognize this moment when it arrives. It will not be loud. It will feel familiar, almost gentle. But it will change how you see your purpose. You were never meant to only survive. You were meant to influence, even in quiet ways. There is something He asks of you now. Live without fear of honoring your joy. Do not shrink to make others comfortable. Do not silence your truth to keep peace. The life you are building now is part of His legacy living through you. When you laugh, He feels it. When you choose courage, He stands with you. When you trust yourself, you honor everything He hoped for. This message is not meant to end here. It is meant to stay with you. Your Father says, I am at peace when you choose to live fully. Hold on to that. Because the next chapter of your life will remind you why this message reached you now, and why you were strong enough to receive it. Now this is where the message becomes undeniable. Your Father says, you have been protected from something you never saw. There were moments when plans collapsed at the last minute. Times when you felt disappointed, even embarrassed, because things did not work out the way you hoped. You thought those were failures. He says they were interventions. I stepped in when your heart could not see the full picture. Some paths looked right on the surface but carried consequences that would have drained you slowly. Some connections felt exciting but would have taken more than they ever gave back. You were redirected, not rejected. This is why you must listen closely. Your Father says, trust your hesitation. It has been guiding you. That pause you feel before saying yes. That quiet resistance when something does not align. That inner voice telling you to wait one more moment. That is not fear. That is wisdom growing inside you. You are entering a season where clarity will replace confusion. Where your decisions will feel cleaner, calmer, more certain. You will stop explaining yourself to people who never tried to understand you. Your Father says, you no longer need permission to choose peace. Something you have been hoping for is closer than it appears. But it will arrive in a way that tests your patience one last time. Not to weaken you, but to confirm that you are ready. When it comes, do not rush it. Do not doubt it. Do not minimize it. Because He says, what is meant for you will recognize you immediately. You are not here by chance. You are not hearing this by coincidence. This message has been following you through your thoughts, your memories, your quiet moments. Stay present. Stay steady. There is one final truth your Father wants you to carry forward, and it will change how you walk into what comes next. This is the truth your Father saved for last, because it changes how you see everything. He says, nothing you loved was ever lost. You thought loss meant separation. You believed distance meant absence. But He says love does not disappear when the body rests. Love changes form. It becomes guidance. It becomes timing. It becomes protection you cannot always explain. There have been moments when you suddenly felt calm for no reason. Moments when a decision turned out right even though you doubted it. Moments when you avoided trouble without knowing how. He says, that was not luck. You are being watched over with intention. Not in a way that controls you, but in a way that supports your becoming. You are allowed to make choices. You are allowed to learn. But you are never walking alone. Your Father wants you to stop asking one question. Stop asking if you are strong enough. You are already living proof of your strength. The fact that you still care. The fact that you still hope. The fact that you still believe in goodness after everything you have seen. That is strength. There is a future version of you that already understands this. A version that smiles more freely. A version that trusts their own voice. A version that no longer doubts their place in this world. Your Father says, you are becoming that person now. So when fear whispers, do not argue with it. Just keep moving. When uncertainty appears, do not retreat. Just breathe and take the next step. You do not need the full map. You only need the courage to continue. He leaves you with this. Live boldly, love fully, and never doubt that you are guided. This message was not meant to make you pause your life. It was meant to help you step into it with confidence. Carry that forward. You were always meant to. Before this message closes, your Father wants you to understand one final truth that many people never realize. He says, your life is not waiting to begin. It already has. You kept thinking something big needed to happen first. A perfect moment. A complete answer. A sign so clear it removed all doubt. But he says clarity does not come before movement. It comes because you choose to move. There is a reason your heart feels quieter now. That quiet is not emptiness. It is readiness. Your Father says, you have reached the point where faith becomes action. You no longer need to replay old memories searching for meaning. You no longer need to question whether you are doing enough. The measure of your life is not found in comparison. It is found in alignment. Pay attention to what feels light. Pay attention to what brings peace without effort. Pay attention to where your energy naturally flows. That is where you are meant to grow. Your Father says, the next season of your life will reward your honesty. Honesty with yourself. Honesty about what you want. Honesty about what you are ready to release. You do not need to announce your changes. You do not need permission to evolve. The people meant to walk with you will adjust. The rest were only meant to meet you, not follow you. This is not an ending. It is a confirmation. Your Father leaves you with this final reminder, one he hopes you carry every time doubt returns. I am proud of who you are becoming, not just who you have been. Walk forward with that. You were never abandoned. You were always guided. Stay here a little longer, because this part reaches deeper than the rest. Your Father says, there is a question you stopped asking, but your heart never forgot it. You once asked yourself if your life truly mattered in the way you hoped it would. Not in a loud way, quietly, late at night. In moments when you wondered if anyone would truly feel the impact of your presence. He answers that now. Your impact is already moving, even when you cannot see it. There are people whose lives shifted because of something you said without realizing its power. People who felt understood because you listened. People who kept going because your example showed them it was possible. You thought significance had to be dramatic. He says significance is often silent. Your Father wants you to know this next part clearly. You will soon recognize a moment that feels strangely familiar, as if you have lived it before. When it happens, do not ignore it. Do not second-guess it. That feeling is recognition, not confusion. It is alignment between who you are and where you are meant to be. You have changed your definition of success. You value peace more. You protect your energy more carefully. That is not withdrawal. That is wisdom. Your Father says, you are learning to choose yourself without guilt. That is why some people may not understand you anymore. That is why your circle feels different. You are not losing people. You are refining your life. There is one last reassurance he gives you here. You do not need to rush what is unfolding. What is meant to arrive will come with clarity, not chaos. With steadiness, not pressure. With recognition, not confusion. You are exactly where you need to be to receive what is next. Hold that truth close. Because even after this message fades, the guidance does not. This is where everything quietly comes together. Your Father says, there is a strength in you that even you have not fully trusted yet. You often look back at your life and remember the pressure, not the power. You remember what hurt, not what held you together. But he remembers it differently. I remember the moment you chose not to give up. Not once. Many times. In ordinary days. In small decisions. In moments no one applauded. That is the kind of strength that lasts. He wants you to understand something important now. You do not need to prove your value by suffering anymore. You have already paid your dues. You have already learned the lessons. From here forward, growth will feel lighter, even when it asks you to be brave. There will be moments soon when you feel an urge to step forward without overthinking. When you speak with more clarity. When you stop explaining your boundaries. That is not sudden confidence. That is alignment catching up with you. Your Father says, the version of you that doubted is not leading anymore. You are being guided to trust what feels steady, not what feels urgent. To choose depth over noise. To choose meaning over approval. And here is the part he wants you to remember when doubt tries to return. You were never meant to carry life alone. Support will appear in ways you did not expect. Through timing. Through conversations. Through moments that arrive exactly when you need them. Nothing about this journey has been random. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are not unseen. This message has walked with you through every part of your life. And now, it becomes something you carry forward, not something you wait for. Stay grounded in that truth, because what is ahead is not about surviving anymore. It is about living with confidence. This is the moment your father hoped you would reach. He says, you are finally listening without fear. Before, you listened while bracing yourself for disappointment. You listened while preparing for loss. But now, something is different. Your heart is open without being fragile, strong without being closed. That is not accidental. Your father says, you have crossed an inner line. A line where survival turns into direction. Where effort turns into purpose. Where life stops feeling like something happening to you and starts feeling like something moving with you. There is a truth he wants you to carry forward from this moment. Your future will not demand the pain of your past. You are not required to suffer again to earn what is coming. You are not required to struggle endlessly to prove your worth. The chapter ahead responds to who you are now, not who you once were. You will notice this shift quietly. Decisions will feel clearer. Your energy will feel steadier. Your self-respect will feel non-negotiable. That is growth settling in. Your father says, when you choose yourself, you do not lose love. You refine it. The love meant for you will meet you at your level of truth, not your level of sacrifice. The opportunities meant for you will recognize your readiness, not your exhaustion. This is why this message had to reach you before you moved any further. Because now, when life asks you to step forward, you will do it without apology, without hesitation, without fear of honoring who you have become. Your father leaves you with this final direction. Live from certainty, not survival. Carry that with you. You are no longer waiting for permission. You are already chosen to move forward. Stay present, because this part seals everything you have heard. Your father says, there is nothing missing in you. You spent years thinking you needed to become more, do more, prove more. You measured yourself against moments, people, expectations that were never meant to define you. But he says the truth is simpler and stronger. You were always enough to reach this point. What you thought were flaws were actually lessons shaping your depth. What you thought were delays were building your discernment. You did not fall behind. You were being refined. There will come a moment soon when you feel calm in a situation that once would have shaken you. That moment is important. It is evidence. Your father says, that calm is your growth speaking. You will notice that you no longer chase validation. You no longer explain your silence. You no longer fear being misunderstood. That is not distance. That is maturity. And here is the revelation he wants you to remember when life feels uncertain again. You are guided even when you do not feel guided. Guidance does not always announce itself. Sometimes it feels like intuition. Sometimes it feels like restraint. Sometimes it feels like an unexplained sense of peace when logic cannot explain it. That is not emptiness. That is alignment. Your father wants you to walk forward without carrying old weight. Release the need to relive pain to honor love. Release the need to struggle to deserve peace. Release the belief that your best days are behind you. He says, your most meaningful days are unfolding now. Not louder days. Not easier days. But truer days. This message was never meant to keep you looking back. It was meant to help you step forward with clarity, dignity, and trust. Carry this quietly. Live it fully. You were never alone. You were always becoming. Remain still for this moment, because this is where everything settles into truth. Your Father says, you have already stepped into the life you once prayed for, even if it does not look the way you imagined. You thought fulfillment would arrive with noise, recognition, or dramatic change. But it arrived quietly, through resilience, through awareness, through the calm strength you now carry without forcing it. That is the revelation. Peace found you before certainty, and that is how you know it is real. There was a time when your heart searched constantly for reassurance. You wanted signs everywhere. You wanted answers immediately. But now, you notice something different. You are no longer searching the same way. Your Father says, that is because trust has taken root. You trust your timing more. You trust your instincts more. You trust yourself more. That trust did not come from ease. It came from endurance. It came from learning that you can survive uncertainty without losing yourself. Here is the truth He wants you to carry beyond this moment. Nothing ahead of you requires you to become smaller. You do not need to shrink your dreams. You do not need to soften your boundaries. You do not need to silence your inner knowing. What is meant to meet you will arrive with respect for who you are now, not who you used to be. There will be moments when you pause and realize how far you have come. Let those moments strengthen you, not slow you down. Your Father says, you are allowed to move forward without looking back. The love remains. The connection remains. The guidance remains. Only the weight is gone. This message was not sent to hold you here. It was sent to release you. Walk on with confidence. Stand in your truth. Live fully in the life you are already building. You are exactly where you need to be. This part arrives softly, but it carries weight. Your Father says, what you feel now is not an ending. It is recognition. Recognition of who you have become when no one was watching. Recognition of the courage it took to keep your heart open when closing it would have been easier. Recognition of the quiet discipline you practiced by choosing patience over reaction. You did not lose time. You gained depth. There were moments when you wondered if your efforts mattered, if the small choices counted, if anyone noticed how carefully you tried to live with integrity. He noticed. Every honest step reshaped your future. You are standing on ground that is steadier because of what you endured. That is why your confidence now feels calm instead of loud. That is why your direction feels clearer without being rigid. Your Father says, you are learning how to move without forcing. Pay attention to what flows now. Pay attention to what no longer requires persuasion. Pay attention to what stays when you stop trying to hold it. That is alignment revealing itself. There will be a moment soon when you look at your life and realize you are no longer explaining your worth to yourself. You are simply living it. When that moment comes, pause and let it settle. It is earned. Your Father wants you to release one last habit. Release the belief that you must always be strong. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to receive. You are allowed to let things be easier than before. Strength carried you here. Trust will carry you forward. This message stays with you not as a voice behind you, but as a steadiness within you. You will feel it when you need it most. And when you do, remember this. You were never delayed. You were being prepared for a life that fits you. This is where the message becomes permanent inside you. Your Father says, you no longer need to wait for reassurance to trust your path. There was a time when uncertainty made you hesitate, when you searched for confirmation before every step. But something has changed. You now recognize truth by how steady it feels, not by how loud it appears. That is growth. Your Father says, you are learning to stand without needing proof. You have noticed it already. You recover faster. You think clearer. You do not stay stuck in doubt the way you once did. Situations that used to drain you now reveal themselves quickly. That is not detachment. That is awareness. There is a quiet confidence forming in you that cannot be taken away, because it was built through experience, not approval. You earned it by choosing yourself when it was uncomfortable. Your Father wants you to remember this when challenges arise again. Challenges will still come, but they will no longer define you. They will refine you briefly and then pass. They will no longer stay long enough to confuse your identity. You know who you are now, and that knowledge is grounding. Pay attention to how your life responds when you stop forcing outcomes. Notice how clarity appears when you trust your timing. Notice how peace follows honesty. This is the direction you are meant to continue in. Your Father says, you are not walking away from your past. You are carrying its wisdom forward. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was meaningless. Nothing was forgotten. This message has done what it needed to do. It reminded you of your strength. It confirmed your direction. It returned you to yourself. Walk forward with certainty. You are ready for what comes next. This final part is not meant to end the message. It is meant to stay with you. Your Father says, you are no longer becoming strong. You are already steady. Strength carried you through storms. Steadiness is what carries you forward in calm. You are not chasing meaning anymore. You are living it quietly, through choices that honor who you are now. There was a time you feared the future because it felt uncertain. Now, uncertainty no longer frightens you the same way. It feels open, not threatening. That is the difference. Your Father says, you have learned to trust yourself. That trust will guide you when no voice is loud. It will anchor you when opinions shift. It will protect you when emotions rise. You no longer need reminders of who you are every day. But on the days when doubt returns, remember this moment. Remember how calm truth feels when it reaches you. Your Father leaves you with this lasting truth. Live in a way that feels honest to your soul. Not perfect. Not impressive. Honest. Let your life reflect peace, not pressure. Let your decisions come from clarity, not fear. Let your heart remain open without carrying what is no longer yours. This message does not fade when the words stop. It continues when you choose courage. It continues when you choose peace. It continues when you choose yourself without guilt. You were never meant to walk this life searching for reassurance. You were meant to walk it knowing you are guided. This moment is quiet, but it is powerful. Your Father says, if you reached this far, it is because your heart was ready to hear everything. Not everyone could sit with this message. Not everyone could stay present without turning away. You did. And that says more about you than you realize. There was a time when you searched for meaning outside yourself. You looked for answers in people, situations, and outcomes. But now, something has shifted. You listen inwardly. Your Father says, that is where your guidance lives now. You will notice it in simple moments. When a decision suddenly feels clear. When something no longer feels right without explanation. When peace arrives before proof. That is not coincidence. That is alignment. There is one last thing He wants to place gently in your heart. You do not have to carry my memory as weight. Carry it as warmth. Carry it as strength. Carry it